going up against one of the legendary Pro Stock, the Ewing & Ewing Chevy Camaro.
This is the car of Billy Ewing. Lamar Ewing, his brother, does all of the wrenching and crew chiefing on this car. These guys have been around IHRA for a long time, both of them running 500 cubic inch engines.
And as a result, they get to run at a special weight of 2,350 pounds as opposed to 2,600 pounds for the big mountain motors that we'll see in the coming rounds. Both cars are now staged, and they are away. Clean start. Looks like Ewing got the whole shot on the far side, but look at Steve Schmidt. Come on.
Steve Schmidt with a tremendous high gear charge, finishing with a very impressive 7.43 at 187.
And Steve Schmidt, therefore, will advance with a great reaction time, 0.23. Our next matchup, we'll see James Antoinette out of Long Island, New York. This is an all-Pontiac round, all 500-inch engines. Here's his opponent, Nick Nicolas from Bayside, New York.
Well, a pair of New Yorkers go at it. Nicolas, relatively young in the Pro Stock ranks, only 32 years of age, and a contractor by profession. Joe Clark, on the other hand, with a lot of experience. This is the Morgan and Clark entry, a Nest chassis. Nick Nicolas driving one of the famous Jerry Hawes chassis cars.
Nicolas in the left lane, Antoinette in the right. The cars are staged and away. Another clean start. Antoinette with a great start, but the wheels came up a little bit, and Nick Nicolas comes underneath, runs away to the finish.
Incredible. Antoinette had a .15 reaction time, which was really great. Nicolas was there with a 1.6. Either one of these guys could be tough next round. However, Nicolas pulls it out with a 7.41.
And in the next round, we will now see a matchup of a 500-inch engine against a mountain motor. Joe Clark out of Springfield, Virginia, has a 500-inch Chevy Camaro up against this guy, Jerry Haas, legendary Pro Stock car builder. He has a mountain motor, 600-plus cubic inches.
Well, you can bet the tech men in the IHRA are watching this with great interest as they want to see the mountain motor and the 500 cubic inch engine face off. Let's watch it, Bob.
Clark on the left, Haas on the right. Haas with 600-inch horsepower. He backs off, but now, no, he will not be able to come on, and it looks like Joe Clark will get away with it.
I think Jerry Hawes had a little mechanical difficulty on that run. Clark will win it with a 7.58 at 182 miles per hour.
And the final round of the quarters, Tommy Mooney out of Shelby, North Carolina in a Pontiac. This is another mountain motor matchup. His opponent, number 3 qualifier, Tim Neighbors from Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
Well, Tommy Mooney, the Williford Martin car, 707 cubic inches. What a big motor this guy's got stuck in. Qualified number 6. And Tim Neighbors, 689 cubic inches. Tim is a second-generation driver. His father, Calvin, rose to fame in IHRA Pro Stock drag racing.
In the first round, Mooney had a great reaction time, .045 seconds. Neighbors came away at .117. So you think Mooney in the near lane would have the advantage over Neighbors on the far side.
This is Southern-style Pro Stock drag racing. 2 North Carolina drivers on the line right now.
And looks like Mooney in the near lane gets a little squirrely, and Neighbors runs away from him.
Once again, an easy cakewalk for Tim Neighbors as he moves into the semifinals with a 7.38, 188 miles per hour. Look at the reaction time, .05.
And so here's the way they'll go to the semi. Schmidt will meet Clark in one heat, and Nick Nicolas will go up against Tim Neighbors in the other. Coming up next, quarterfinal action in the Alcohol Funny Cars, making their return to IHRA drag racing as a pro class. Alcohol Funny Cars have returned as a pro class to IHRA competition, and our first matchup of the afternoon will see Phil Sebring out of Kent, Ohio, going up against Mark Thomas from Louisville, Ohio.
Well, the 2 Buckeyes lining up to go at it, and Phil Sebring, one of the top performers formerly on the IHRA trail, qualified number 10 for this event with his 89 Dodge Daytona. Mark Thomas, on the other hand, running an 87 Corvette.
It'll be Thomas in the near lane, Sebring in the far lane. Thomas had the better reaction time in the first round. The cars are out. And it looks like Thomas got the whole shot, and there's something flapping on the top of Sebring's car.
That's the escape hatch. The crewman failed to button that down. That could cost him. ET might even contributed to his loss. Mark Thomas picks up the win with a 645, 216.
Let's take another look at it now and watch the car in the right lane. There as the escape hatch begins flapping, and boy, that's got to be a distraction, Ted.
Actually, Sebring was out on top. Now as they go to high gear, Thomas has it. Sebring might even have wondered if something was wrong inside that car.
And there you see the cars in the shutdown area. Sebring, one car is the winner. Now, we'll look look at Bob Gilbertson out of Charlotte, North Carolina, as he matches up against Columbus, Ohio's Chuck Cheeseman.
Chuck Cheeseman, a very popular car with the crowd down here from Columbus, Ohio. Gilbertson out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And Gilbertson, not real experienced on the IHRA trail, running a 529 cubic inch Hemi Keith black engine. On the other hand, Cheeseman's 88 Corvette boasting 525 cubic inches of power.
Cheeseman, the third fastest qualifier for the show. And Tom, I've got to think then with the alcohol cars becoming so class again, we're going to see a lot of new drivers in this class over the season.
I think you will indeed, Bob, and you're going to see some very close racing. This alcohol funny car racing is very competitive and continues to grow in popularity with the crowd. You see Cheeseman backing there into the hot tracks just laid down, and he'll attempt to get the car right back up on top of that hot rubber.
Gilbertson moves forward onto the tracks left during the burnout where they spin the wheels, as Ted mentioned, to get good traction at the start, running through their own tire track. Cars are staged. Cheeseman in the near lane. Gilbertson will be in the far lane. Clean start, and look at the whole shot for Bob Gilbertson. Quickly, a car length over Cheeseman. The front end comes up, and Cheeseman pulls it out.
Cheeseman actually had the worst reaction time. Gilbertson was out first, but Cheeseman pulls it out with sheer ET of 642, 215 miles per hour.
Let's take another look at the start, and in the right lane, Bob Gilbertson gets a beautiful start, but watch the front end as he straightens it up here.
Well, he's just weaving a little bit as he shifts into second gear. Now the car bouncing some. Meanwhile, Cheeseman straight and true shifts to high gear, and there's the story, a half a car length.
And so Chuck Cheeseman will move on to the semifinal round of Pro Alcohol Funny Car. Now the third matchup of the quarterfinals at Pro Alcohol. Greg Moss, fourth qualifier out of Fenton, Missouri. Man who's been doing this for a long time, and he'll be going up against another veteran in Don DeFluter from Kent, Ohio, who knows just how competitive these cars are.
I've been racing with IHRA for 4 years, and it's been that way every year. It's never been a walk-away. And the competition keeps getting tougher and tougher in alcohol, and there's been a lot of new things that come along to really help the cars. And I look for the cars, the alcohol cars, to break into the fives this year.
And if it's going to happen, this might very well be the guy to do it. Don DeFluter, who will have the near lane, the left-hand lane, and across the way in the far lane will be Greg Moss. Backing up, as you see him after the burnout, having laid down the tracks of hot rubber, he backs up over them looking for that all-important traction at the start.
Well, Moss has a little bit of a psychological advantage in this race. He was runner-up at this event in 1987. DeFluter, on the other hand, has never done really that well here at Darlington.
It'll be an Oldsmobile against a Pontiac. As they break the staging beams, they're now set. Clean start. Looked like Moss on the outside got a great start. DeFluter falling back. Moss is just going to run away. Something must have broken on Don's car.
Moss, the boss, is back. A great time of 6.40 at 217.39 with a 0.73 reaction.
And so Moss's success continues at Darlington. Now our final matchup will have Shad Wheeler, the top qualifier in Pro Alcohol. He will be going up against Lynn Utze out of Ladson, South Carolina. He'll be a big favorite here at Darlington.
Indeed he will. This car owned by Dean Bluer out of Ladson, South Carolina. Utze doing the driving, qualified number 2 for this event. So Utze could be the real upset winner right here at Darlington.
Having completed their burnouts now, the drivers back up. A little dry hop there. Get the tires clean, get them up to operating temperatures. Psychological warfare begins, staging a real art form in drag racing.
Shad Wheeler out of Fredericton, Ohio, so it's the north against the south. Always gets the fans up just a little bit, Bob.
Wheeler in the near lane, Utze in the far lane. They're away, and Utze breaks at the line.
Utze, some sort of an embarrassing problem as he drives away. Meanwhile, a very easy win indeed for Shad Wheeler.
Shad Wheeler from Fredericktown, Ohio will move ahead then in Pro Alcohol as we've seen mechanical problems in the last 2 rounds. And so our matchups in the semifinals, we'll see Mark Thomas against Chuck Cheeseman in one heat, and the other will pit Greg Moss against Shad Wheeler. Coming up next here at the All-Pro Winternationals from Darlington, the big crowd pleasers, the real thumpers, top fuel dragsters.